I forgot to do the sound check. Sound check.
While Microsoft.
Hey, slow down, Buster. Slow down there, Buster. Going too fast, buddy. At least I know the headphones is working fine. It's a little further. Let's put it further still. Just do this. It is still a little cold where I am, so I'm gonna keep this on. I always forget to do this. We need to connect it. Then I need to make sure that it works. If I look over there, it's not too bad. For so, perfect. So it's working fine. It is working. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Hope everybody's having a great Friday. I went through the news today. There wasn't anything too crazy, so I'm just gonna leave it at what I did yesterday. Little heads up, that strat, I don't think it's working for me. I'm not convinced. Jesus Christ, they're all partnering together. I got Wes Roth, Dylan Curious, and David Shapiro all on a call together for, I think I'm scared how they would react to see my reactions to their videos. They would probably say I'm an idiot. I don't know much anyways, so I wouldn't blame them. Yeah, I guess this is going to be the background for today. Alright, I guess we're gonna have a whole bunch of videos to watch, so might as well get going. Honestly, I was not like 100% sure to stream, but there was this specific video that I thought, you know what, I think this is gonna be awesome. Let's watch it on stream and let's spread the awareness. So if you guys have been watching the videos, we heard a couple of times that they want to build AI data centers on the moon, or at the very least in space, because apparently that would be cheaper. To me, it just seems so obvious that they are delusional and that does not make sense. Well, unfortunately, I am not smart enough. Wow. Oh no, where's the soundboard? I got no sound? Gotta get my shit together. I'm sorry, guys. Let's quit it. Come on, man. Don't do me like that. Fuck. What an idiot. I'm gonna have to clip that. We'll fix it in post. That's fine. Just gonna have much more work. Did I put anything in it? Oh, what a day. Come on, man. I wanna use the sound effects. Jesus Christ, I need to troubleshoot all day long. There's a process hung up. So we're gonna kill it. Everybody's gone. Restart it. Starting, contacting server, because why can't I only, nah, whatever. It's a whole bunch of complaints. All right. There we go. But I want to copy this, put it here. That was a voice mod, so let's do another one. Let's do voice mod, type. Let's mod, change the icon. What can I use? What can I use? Doesn't really matter because we got a label. What can represent that weird app? This is this one here. Perfect. That's great. Shut this down. Boy, it's not going great for me today. Surprise, surprise. Oh, so if I drop this a little bit, let's read the, that's better. And if I yell, that's a little much. All right. Oh, that's a glitchy one too. Okay. All right, thank you for your patience. What else can I say? Come on, man, don't be like that. It don't gotta be like that, brother. All right, so I'm sorry. Now we're ready. We should be good. Fuck. 10 minutes into the stream. Now I'm ready. And I can tell you it took me like 15, 20 minutes to get everything before. Should have a better setup, but it is what it is. All right, so as I was saying, we are going to listen to somebody who is qualified to explain why it's a bad idea to build something in space. I need to fix this. That's not it. This is it.
If threatening economic collapse and the annihilation of human civilization weren't enough, AI data centers are now presenting a new problem: resources. A large data center will now put out enough heat for 100,000 homes into an increasingly hot atmosphere and slurp up enough water for 1,000 families. Obviously, something is going to have to give if we want to continue to build out this infrastructure that no one actually wants. That's why recently some AI tech bros have suggested moving data centers here.
Even Bezos.
But that's a stupid idea. For almost every reason. It's kind of embarrassing, actually.
Yep.
Here's why.
Enlighten us.
Now entering the facility.
The idea of space-side AI data centers seems almost exclusively popularized by tech billionaires who believe that they would be doing physics if they weren't so busy not paying taxes. And if you don't understand simple physics, the idea does sound pretty smart. AI data centers need a lot of cooling. Space is really cold. Boom! AI data centers need a lot of power.
Smart.
There's infinite power from the sun in space. Boom! AI data centers need a lot of space. Space has all of that. Boom! You're welcome, shareholders. But like other very futuristic but ultimately totally impractical megastructures, AI data centers fall down as an
Dyson
idea
sphere?
if you know
Think about it.
know the physics.
Don't you also fake being a physicist?
Yes, Arya, but hoarding the equivalent of an entire country's wealth isn't the main reason why people take me seriously.
Oh.
It's the smolder. Ooh, try to resist that. You can't.
Okay.
I'm in danger.
At this point, I think I'm gonna have to get rid of that.
I won the staring contest. I did.
You
Let's
did.
start with the most reasonable reasons for space data centers and work towards the least, as they are all intertwined. Some SDC proponents make the case that moving artificial intelligence into space would be a boon for satellites that right now collect a lot of Earth observation data and then beam it down to the planet for processing. If that processing could be done by GPU clusters in space instead, it would make everything a lot faster and more efficient. This seems like a fine but niche use case. However, what makes the headlines are not the niche cases, but mega to gigawatt-sized AI installations in orbit, doing what they do on Earth.
We'll push right here.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Like make stupid chiropractic videos and destabilize the world economy. And almost everything about this idea is intro to engineering level wrong. There are three ways to transfer heat in this universe. The first is by conduction. Through innumerable energy-conserving collisions, two objects in contact will reach an equilibrium temperature with each other as their atoms jiggle against one another. The second way is convection. This is like conduction, except that heat is moving from one place to another via the movement of fluids, like air swirling around a sweet Turk in the oven or water flowing past you in a pool. That's why a summer swim is so refreshing. Water is a very good conductor, and new water is constantly conducting heat away from your body as you move.
You looked especially refreshed after that one time.
It was cold, Arya, okay? It's not always... moving on. There's basically nothing in space.
Citation needed.
So the dominant mode of heat transfer in the void is the third way, radiation. Everything with a temperature emits radiation as charged particles in matter speed up, slow down, excite, de-excite, and release energy in the form of photons of light as they do so. However, this is the least efficient way to transfer heat energy around. And so the main reason that everyone gives for moving data centers to space, cooling, is either ignorant of thermodynamics or ignoring it. We can put numbers to this because we already have stuff in space with significant cooling challenges. According to the AI ruining Google search, the very best GPUs put out about 1,000 watts of waste heat. That's about 10 times more waste heat than your body produces, which is kind of crazy to think about. Today's data centers can have more than 100,000 of these GPUs, which means 100 million watts of heat that has to go somewhere.
That's a
Why
lot.
not space? Well, the biggest and best heat radiating technology that we have in space is on the International Space Station. The radiators are right.
Honestly, I think we should just dedicate like a whole part of the planet and just create a giant heat sink that goes up to the edge of space. It doesn't actually go into space, but it would be like a big ass heat sink. I think that should be that's a smart solution, in my opinion.
Here in between the solar panels and have a surface area of 42 square meters. According
Sorry.
to NASA, this area can reject around 14,000 watts of heat into deep space. Do you see the problem? It's with the number of zeros. To cool just one space data center like we do the ISS would require over 7,000 times the surface area, 300,000 square meters. This is the size of the International Space Station. And this would be the size of a single space data center with the requisite cooling panels. The ISS was the most expensive construction project in human history. And you're telling me that to solve the AI resource problem, we're going to put hundreds or even thousands of these monstrosities into orbit in 5 to 10 years with current technology?
No. But a heat sink, that will work.
Someone slept through Thermodynamics 101.
But Kyle, shouldn't we at least move AI data centers to space so that they can have infinite sun energy and not use any of our energy on Earth?
Actually, Fun Voice, no. And for the same simple reason. Surface area. Most of you have never been to space, but that doesn't mean that you don't know how heat transfer in space actually works. In fact, I'd reckon that many of you have had first-hand experience with it. Case in point, this is a thermos. This is my Yeti thermos. It's fantastic. You can also get these cool Demon Core and nuclear waste warning sign stickers at shop.kylehill.net. Anyway, how a thermos like this can keep ice cubes ice for like 24 hours is the fact that they use the vacuum, just like space has. So inside of this Yeti thermos, you have two stainless steel walls. In between those walls is nothing. It has been evacuated of air. Now, because of this, there is no physical medium through which you can have conduction or convection. So on the inside, on the inner wall, you have ice water, and then you have nothingness, and then you have this outer wall exposed to the environment. Because this interstitial space is effectively the vacuum of space, heat can only transfer through radiation, meaning that heat transfers very slowly, meaning that your water stays cold. In fact, I've done some calculations about heating and cooling in space before, and I think it would take the human body, which is mostly water, like over a day, if not many more days, to freeze all the way through if you ejected a body into outer space, which hasn't happened yet.
Right.
Anyway, it's fun engineering examples like this that brings the void a little bit closer to the vacuum that is your mouth. That's how you drink stuff. You create a vacuum in your whatever. Ah, I forgot to put ice in it. You get it. Yes, there's a giant fusion reactor in the sky, but getting power in space isn't exactly a walk-on cake, or whatever humans say. Solar power is good, but it requires a lot of surface area, and the panels themselves are heavy. and that makes them expensive to get into orbit. Chemical fuel is very energy dense, but it's also very heavy and therefore expensive.
You're going to say something about nuclear power now, aren't you?
No, Arya. Even the nuclear technology that we currently have in space, radioisotope thermoelectric generators, are relatively weak in the amount of electricity that they can produce. So, how are we going to actually make all those short films that get ratioed on Twitter by moving those hot, giant racks to space?
Bro. Yep.
GPUs, Arya.
Yeah.
What did you think I meant?
Come on, bruh. We know. We know.
The best comparison is again the International Space Station. It has the largest solar panels ever deployed in space. Two 1,000 kilogram retractable blankets of 33,000 solar arrays each. These engineering marvels can produce 200 kilowatts of power in direct sunlight. An NVIDIA H200 GPU draws 700 watts at full slop. You don't have to act like you understand physics to do the simple math here. Just line up the zeros. It would take at least 300 ISS-sized solar arrays to power just one large space data center, and probably many more than that, due to inefficiencies, cooling, redundancies, etc. You're telling me that in the next few years we're going to successfully launch nearly 500,000 kilograms into space per data center, safely, efficiently, and economically?
Really? Really?
This is not a serious idea for serious people, and honestly, it's exhausting. We are constantly stuck in a loop of some guy with too much money proposing something ridiculous, and we all have to waste our time hearing about it, the news has to waste their time covering it, and scientists have to waste their time backtracking to first principles and interviews about it. It's just...
Deep breaths, big man. Hey, why don't we talk about radiation? You love that.
Oh yeah,
Let's
good
go.
thinking. Radiation in space may not immediately incapacitate astronauts, but if space data centers are to constantly and carefully process
they're gonna be
terabytes of data
yeah.
in the void, radiation in space
Oh,
and in orbit
shit.
is going to be a real risk
It's
to
gonna
sensitive
damage,
electronics and
yeah.
data integrity. An unstoppable solar storm wiping out the majority of humanity's compute in just a day seems like a bad thing. And the shielding against that thing is going to be heavy and therefore expensive and therefore hard to get into space. Honestly, space is one of the last places where I'd want the majority of humanity's digital throughput to be. It's hard to get stuff there, it's hard to power stuff there, it's hard to maintain stuff there, it's hard to move stuff there out of the way if debris is heading at it at Mach. It's going to be hard for astronomers to see stuff in the night sky if they're filled with all these shareholder-driven monstrosities with these giant panels so many times larger than the International Space Station. Why are we still talking about this? Sorry, I was slop mopping again. Look, data centers in space is a fun idea, but it's a sci-fi idea like space elevators or Dyson spheres. If all of the oxygen wasn't continuously being sucked out of the room by money vampires, we could entertain better ideas. For example, some companies are looking to put AI data centers at the bottom of the ocean, where it's really cold, there's excellent conduction and convection, and there's near infinite water for cooling. But they're being drowned out by all this other stuff that we're forced to hear about, or, and this is just a thought, we could not cover the entire world in GPUs that we don't want.
Yep, that's the better
What
one.
do I know? I don't have big crazy ideas that'll never work. Until next time.
Administrator, the antimatter ramjet Venusian apartment levitator is ready for testing.
You'll see. In 5 to 10 years, we'll have them. I'll talk about it on a podcast and get $1 billion. You'll see. You're just not playing the chess that I'm playing. I'm playing 4D chess. You're such a...
Yep.
I'm Sigma. I'm a Sigma. You're not Sigmas.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Kyle Hill, very good. NVIDIA, the pirate. Ay, ay, ay. Which one? This one here. I think this one's gonna be super interesting. We haven't watched the Wall Street Millennial in a minute. So let's watch it. NVIDIA losing confidence in OpenAI.
OpenAI has committed $1.4 trillion of AI data center spending over the next 8 years. OpenAI claims to have just $20 billion of annualized revenue, and they lose billions of dollars per month. OpenAI obviously will not generate the money to pay for this on its own. They are reliant on raising money from outside investors. In September of 2025, OpenAI announced its biggest capital raise yet. NVIDIA agreed to invest $100 billion into OpenAI to help fund the construction of new data centers. It's now been more than 4
Yeah, that's how it was presented back then. This is what they are going to do.
months since the deal was announced, and Nvidia has not yet wired a single penny to OpenAI. It appears like this much hyped up investment is probably never going to happen.
Yeah, obviously not. I mean, we heard Jensen say to a reporter that it was only an invitation to invest. It was up to $100 million. It was going to be in stages, all these different things. Uh, I don't know if you guys remember, but I did say that I find it very odd that these people that have been hanging around together in these private events, right? So we see Jensen here and Sam Altman. They were together at the royal banquet hosted by King Charles III as a part of US President Donald Trump's state visit to the UK. So, I mean, they hang out together. How come there would be a misunderstanding between these people that like to chill together? It's sus, man. It's a little weird.
In this video, we'll take a deep dive into the NVIDIA OpenAI partnership and why some recent developments look very bad for Sam Altman. Sam Altman is under a lot of pressure to somehow come up with $1.4 trillion. Fortunately, most of us are not in a similar situation, but it is nonetheless important to keep on top of your finances and day-to-day spending.
Yep.
How much do you spend eating out,
That's a
riding
good
Ubers,
segue.
or all those subscription services you forgot about? If you asked me in the past, I would have no idea, but now I know exactly how much I'm spending and saving, thanks
was
to
very
today's
clever.
sponsor, Monarch Money. Monarch Money is an all-in-one financial dashboard where you can connect over 13,000 institutions and track your full financial life in one place. Before I started using Monarch Money, I would have to look at all my different credit card, bank, and investment accounts individually, which was almost impossible to keep track of. So I really had no idea how much I was actually spending. It's a game changer to have all your financial information in one beautiful consolidated dashboard. For example, I recently realized that I've been paying $11 per month for HBO Max when I haven't watched it in months. Monarch Money is so much more than just a budgeting tool. You can track all of your accounts, transactions, and investments. You can even add assets like your car or home, where you can see your debt payoff progress. And it does it all without ads, without credit card offers, or any hidden fees or anything like that. It works seamlessly with a beautiful, intuitive experience on both desktop and mobile. Monarch has earned a 4.9-star rating from thousands of users who've found peace of mind seeing the full picture of their finances. If you want to regain control of your financial life, make sure to sign up for Monarch Money by clicking the link in the description below.
You, just you, building your app on base 44. Describe it. And it's real. One thought leads to more thought.
On September 22, 2025, OpenAI and NVIDIA jointly announced a so-called strategic partnership to deploy 10 gigawatts of NVIDIA systems. To support the partnership, NVIDIA intends to invest up to $100 billion in OpenAI progressively as each.
So this is so crazy to me because we saw that Mark Zuckerberg, with his almost, well, he doesn't have a liquidity issue. He is able to invest his money into the data center that he wants to build, right? He said that it is going to scale up to 5 gigawatts. I think it's going to take up to 2027 or 2028, a couple of years for it to get to 5 gigawatts, 5 or 6, I don't remember. And here we had NVIDIA and OpenAI saying that they were going to deploy at least 10 gigawatt. The timelines and the scale that they were presenting, it was unrealistic. It's not feasible. It was not then, and people now understand how delusional delusional it is.
Gigawatt is deployed. The first gigawatt will be deployed in the second half of 2026. When the deal was announced, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman and NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang gave a joint interview to CNBC.
Jensen, NVIDIA is making a $100 billion investment in OpenAI and working together to build out, I think you're saying 10 gigawatts of capacity over several years. The investment's going to come with the gigawatts, one at a time. You're telling me, you guys, as quickly as you guys can get it done. Jensen, first of all, set the stage. Why?
This is the biggest AI infrastructure project in history.
All right, so the first thing was the 100 million, right? So there was no negation here. This is the equivalent of saying, yes, they are going to invest 100 billion.
This is the largest computing project in history. Well, the reason for that is because computing demand is going through the roof for OpenAI.
That's not true. This is not true. They entangled themselves in a way that they built up these relations where they have to keep going, but there's no real demand there.
ChatGPT is
This is all
the
manufactured.
single most revolutionary AI project in history. It's being used everywhere, every industry, every country. Every person practically that I know uses ChatGPT. The computing demand is.
Yeah, Jensen doesn't know a lot of people. Once you get to the Epstein class, this is what happens. You don't actually know a lot of people, so it's easy to pretend this is the case. And do you really honestly believe that these billionaires, the people in the Epstein class, that would honestly have that much time to waste, chatting with a bot like that? I don't know.
Going through the roof. And so this partnership is about building an AI infrastructure that enables AI to go from the labs into the world. This is about the AI industrial revolution arriving. It's a very big deal.
There's a lot to unpack here. Because of the massive demand for ChatGPT, OpenAI is supposedly compute constrained, so NVIDIA will invest $100 billion to deploy the 10 gigawatts of AI data centers. In the interview, Jensen Huang talked about the $100 billion investment as if it were a sure thing. First off, we need to understand just how big 10 gigawatts is.
Yeah, because that's how they presented it. It is so evident. It is undeniably what they've shown.
As of the end of 2025, OpenAI claimed to have 2 gigawatts worth of computing capacity online. OpenAI does not own or operate any of its own data centers. Today, most of OpenAI's compute comes from Microsoft. Some of it also comes from Oracle, CoreWeave, and other cloud computing providers. In early 2025, OpenAI announced Project Stargate to much fanfare. Project Stargate is a joint venture between OpenAI, Oracle, and SoftBank.
I have this picture here saved under, I think it's hold on, let me tell you the exact name. Where are they? Okay, SoftBank, Oracle, OpenAI, Demons. Just to give you a little idea, these people, they are demons. Oh, also Oracle, they had a Blue Owl pull out 10 billion from the promised investment that they had, and it turns out that they're having a bunch of liquidity issue. They had to liquidate a whole bunch of shit. to the sum of $11 billion. I heard that today. That's spicy.
Stargate was supposedly going to spend $500 billion to build 10 gigawatts worth of AI data centers. As it turned out, funding was not secured. Oracle and SoftBank do not have $500 billion. As of the
Yeah, so he's probably gonna be able to pull up the numbers, but it was 52 billion at the beginning, and then I think SoftBank announced that they had another 30 billion. This is so crazy.
end of 2025, Stargate had spent approximately $10 billion and completed a 200 megawatt data center in Abilene, Texas. This data center is operated by Oracle, and the compute is leased to OpenAI. This is just 2% of their claimed target of 10 gigawatts.
Oh yeah, I think for this specific data center, it was halfway built or not like the whole thing. And they said that as soon as they broke ground, they were supposed to produce like 100,000 jobs, but turns out it was only like 7,000 jobs that were created. It is all so underwhelming everywhere.
It's important that we understand the timeline. As of the end of 2025, Project Stargate was only 2% completed, and they do not have nearly enough funding to finish it. Instead of focusing on finishing Stargate, OpenAI announced a new 10 gigawatt partnership with NVIDIA. This is separate from Stargate.
Introducing Craft Story.
10 seconds, time's up.
Are you tired of AI video tools that force every idea into a 10-second clip? Meet Craft Story Model 2.0, the world's first AI video generation model that creates videos up to 5 minutes long.
Now you can easily make storytelling, product demos, trading videos with unprecedented release.
So now,
For
OpenAI
fuck's
has
sake.
2 massive data center development projects, neither of which have funding secured. The 10 gigawatt partnership with NVIDIA has a lot of unanswered questions. Who's going to build and operate these data centers? NVIDIA makes GPUs, OpenAI makes software. Neither of them have any experience building or operating large data centers. When OpenAI and NVIDIA announced their partnership in September, they claimed that NVIDIA would invest up to $100 billion into OpenAI. OpenAI's CFO, Sarah Fryer, has previously stated that a 1 gigawatt AI data center costs $50 billion to build. The 10 gigawatts OpenAI announced in September of 2025 would cost $500 billion. NVIDIA's
Wow.
$100 billion investment would only fund 20% of the total cost. OpenAI never explained where the other $400 billion will come from. While Sam Altman gave almost no details about how these supposed data centers would actually be built, he made sure to emphasize how important it is for OpenAI to gain access to this computing power.
The compute constraints that the whole industry has been, and our company in particular, have been terrible. We're so limited right now in the services we can offer. There's so much more demand than what we can do. And as we look forward another year or 2 years, if you have, let's say it takes 10 gigawatts of compute or 5 gigawatts of compute, you could choose one of two things. You could choose to cure cancer by having AI do a bunch of research, or you could choose to offer free education to everybody on Earth. No one wants to make that choice. And so increasingly as we see this, the answer is just much more capacity so that we can serve the massive needs and opportunities.
What? Holy fuck. But you know that it's not going to cure cancer anyways, right?
According to Altman, with 5 gigawatts of compute, OpenAI can cure cancer. With the other 5 gigawatts, they'll provide education to every kid on Earth. This is not the first time Sam Altman has talked about curing cancer. This is a recurring narrative he brings up as often as he can. In March of 2025, Altman posted the following tweet. This one tweet does a pretty good job of summing up Altman's arrogance and grandiose narcissism. Quote, be me,
Oh, that's
grind
well
for a
said.
decade trying to help make superintelligence to cure cancer or whatever. Mostly no one cares for the first 7.5 years. Then for 2.5 years, everyone hates you for everything. Wake up one day to hundreds of messages. Look, I made you into a twink, Ghibli style, haha, unquote. So why does everybody hate Sam? The benevolent Sam Altman who's grinding hard to cure cancer. Well, we can find a few
Sarcastic.
reasons why people hate him just by looking at this one tweet. He talks about Ghibli. What is Ghibli? Studio Ghibli is an anime studio in Japan which makes animated television shows. Studio Ghibli has over 4 decades of operating history. They created a very distinctive animation style, which is instantly recognizable to anime fans all around the world. In early 2025, Sam Altman realized that if ChatGPT could create fake AI images in the style of Studio Ghibli, this could generate a lot of interest from users. OpenAI scraped a bunch of Ghibli anime images from the internet to train its image generator. To market this new feature, Sam Altman used an AI-generated Ghibli image of himself for his Twitter profile picture. OpenAI does not have any licensing agreement with Studio Ghibli, at least none which is publicly disclosed. OpenAI does not pay any money to Studio Ghibli to license its animation style. OpenAI scrapes data from thousands of websites to get training data for ChatGPT. In the vast majority of cases, OpenAI does not have any licensing deal or give any compensation. But there is one notable exception. In early 2024, OpenAI signed a deal with Reddit, whereby OpenAI pays Reddit to access its user-generated data. On the day the deal was announced, Reddit's stock price increased 13%. It just so happens that Sam Altman owns a venture capital firm called Hydrazine, which is a major shareholder in Reddit, thus allowing Altman to personally profit when Reddit's stock price increases. OpenAI does not have any licensing deal with any other social media company besides Reddit. I'm sure that's just a coincidence. Studio Ghibli has not publicly commented on OpenAI ripping off their animation style, but there is reason to believe that they are not happy. Hayao Miyazaki is a co-founder
Yeah,
of Studio Ghibli.
obviously.
He is one of the people who created the Ghibli animation style. In 2016, he gave an interview where he was asked about
Oh,
AI
sorry.
video generation. This was before ChatGPT or Sora. But even at the time, some earlier forms of AI video generation already existed. Miyazaki was asked what he thought about AI animation and whether Studio Ghibli would ever use AI. He responded, quote, "I am utterly disgusted. If you really want to make creepy stuff, you can go ahead and do it. I would never wish to incorporate this technology into my work at all. I strongly feel that this is an insult to life itself," unquote.
That
Maybe
is,
OpenAI plays fast and loose.
listen, that's a good quote. That is a good sentiment. I think it is important to react this harshly to whatever they call AI, but you have to take into account that he's had very strong opinion on a lot of subjects. I think he's made some controversy. Yeah, he's had a lot of fucked up takes. He's a harsh person in general.
With copyright laws and burns tens of billions of dollars, but it's all worth it because Sam Altman is going to cure cancer, or so he claims. Altman's recurring narrative about curing cancer is nothing more than an artifice to fool the gullible. OpenAI will never cure cancer. OpenAI claims that scientists can use ChatGPT to help them in their research. Today, the only science-specific tool they have is Prism. Prism is basically a text editor that helps you format scientific papers. This is most certainly not going to cure cancer. There are scientists who use ChatGPT. Most of them use it to look stuff up, basically as an alternative to Google search. However,
Yeah, people should not use it the same way that we used to use search engines. Now we're fucked because even the search engine is trying to shove that shit in your face. It's fucked up.
large language models like ChatGPT are fundamentally limited by their training data. They consume huge amounts of training data and can regurgitate outputs that look similar to pre-existing materials they are trained on. OpenAI likes to brag about how well ChatGPT performs on various science benchmarks.
Yeah, so it doesn't mean anything at all. All the benchmarks, they're able to be gamified. The models are trained on the way that it works. We saw a very good video this week regarding real world AI application, or how it performs against humans in like real world tasks, and they are so bad, they are so much shit, it is unsettling.
For example, when they released ChatGPT 5.2, they claimed that it scored 77.1% on a science Olympiad test, which is better than any other LLM available today. While each question on the Science Olympiad test is unique, they all follow a pretty standard format. ChatGPT was trained on thousands of example problems it scraped from Stack Exchange and other similar websites. Most of this online material is written by college students who are studying for exams similar to the Science Olympiad. ChatGPT is very good at regurgitating output which looks similar to what it was trained on. However, this capability is largely useless. If you're a researcher and you're trying to develop new treatments for cancer, having memorized a million Science Olympiad questions is not going to help you. ChatGPT cannot tell you how to cure cancer because the cure for cancer does not exist in its training data.
Exactly. It is unable to produce new things. It will never happen. It is not possible.
OpenAI is really trying to market the narrative that ChatGPT is a great tool for scientists. On their website, they have a section called Chats from Scientists, where they give examples of prompts which they claim were written by scientists and healthcare professionals. The example prompts include things like brainstorm research questions, translate your research into layman's language, tailor a meal plan for your patients, and convert data into a different schema. Sure, this could be useful to a scientist, and it might save them some time, but there's no evidence that ChatGPT is capable of making novel scientific breakthroughs. Most people are not scientists and do not understand how scientific research works. This makes it very easy for companies like OpenAI to create a public narrative that portrays its technology as far more capable than it actually is. It's
Yes.
very important not to be fooled, and you don't need to be a scientist to apply critical thinking. For example, on OpenAI's homepage, they have a featured article about how GPT-5 lowers the cost of cell-free protein synthesis. OpenAI had a partnership with a company called Ginkgo Bioworks. They created an AI-driven autonomous lab and achieved a 40% reduction in protein production costs. That sounds pretty good, but what does it actually mean in the real world? Ginkgo Bioworks is a synthetic biology company. They are a contract research organization which tries to develop genetically modified yeast, which can be used to develop new drugs and other things. Ginkgo Bioworks is a complete failure of a business. They
Hey.
went public by merging with a SPAC in 2021, and their share price has fallen by 97% to date. For years, Ginkgo Bioworks has claimed to be using AI to accelerate new drug discovery. All the way back in 2023,
Should have used it to predict their downfall, right?
Ginkgo signed a deal with Google Cloud to use Google's AI to develop new drugs. Ginkgo was not able to develop any new drugs with AI. Since announcing the AI partnership with Google, Ginkgo's revenue has dwindled to almost nothing,
Ooh.
and the company incurs huge operating losses. Companies like OpenAI and Ginkgo Bioworks are very good at producing press releases and blog posts, claiming huge
Yeah, what the fuck is up with all the posts? Everybody's a writer now. Everybody's a writer.
technological breakthroughs. But until they actually create a new product that's generating revenue, none of their claims can be trusted. Sam
All
Altman
these
claims
blog
that in the
posts,
future, OpenAI will cure
you can just imagine that they're fan fiction. All of them.
cancer. The only reason they haven't done so already is because they don't have enough computing capacity. He says he needs 5 gigawatts of computing power to cure cancer. Today, OpenAI already has 2 gigawatts of computing capacity.
Yeah, is he like halfway done through the research to cure cancer? Like, how does that work?
That's not enough to cure cancer, but it should be enough for a less ambitious project. Maybe they could develop a new allergy medicine or cough medicine or something. Yet today, they have produced nothing. Pretty much all of
Yeah, because if it was successful, if it would come any close to this reality, wouldn't that make all the investor reassured and have them pour in all the money that you want? Like, if you were able to show that you're halfway there, or that you're able to do something significative, but not as crazy or as ambitious. Wouldn't investors just jump on the occasion to invest and keep the company going? That's not happening.
Altman's grandiose narratives fall apart under even the slightest amount of scrutiny. He claims that OpenAI is compute constrained. They have all of these scientific discoveries they could make if only they had more data centers. If that were really the case, why does OpenAI waste billions of dollars on its ridiculous Sora video generator? Sora consumes an obscene amount of.
Not just that, they've starting shutting down older models because they need to allocate as much compute as they can to the latest version, but it's only used to produce those shitty videos. That's a little weird.
Computing capacity while generating minuscule revenue. And you cannot even pretend that this has any scientific application. In his public statements, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang always gives bullish commentary about OpenAI. OpenAI is the largest indirect customer of NVIDIA GPUs and is propping up the entire AI bubble, from which NVIDIA has so handsomely profited. But in private, Huang's opinions are very different. When NVIDIA and OpenAI announced the $100 billion investment back in September, there was no binding agreement. It was a non-binding letter of intent. According to recent reporting from the Wall Street Journal, NVIDIA slow-walked the execution of the deal and eventually got cold feet. Huang has privately criticized OpenAI's lack of discipline and expressed concerns that ChatGPT is losing market share to Google Gemini and Anthropic's Claude. The Wall Street Journal article was published on January 31st. The very next day, on February 1st, Jensen Huang gave a press conference in Taiwan, where he took questions from reporters.
Oh.
When asked about reports suggesting NVIDIA's $100 billion investment in OpenAI is on the rocks, Huang had this to say.
That's nonsense. Nonsense? Yeah, that's complete nonsense. We are going to make a huge investment in OpenAI. Yeah, I believe in OpenAI. The work that they do is incredible. They're one of the most consequential companies of our time. We haven't made the investment in them because they're closing their round, but we will definitely be involved in their next in their round.
Huang immediately became defensive, calling the Wall Street Journal article nonsense, but he basically confirmed the Wall Street Journal's reporting. The $100 billion investment they announced in September is not going to happen. Instead, NVIDIA will make a huge investment in OpenAI's upcoming capital raise. Sam Altman is currently in the United Arab Emirates, trying to raise money from various Middle Eastern sovereign wealth funds.
But we saw also wasn't it the SoftBank guy that was trying to get somebody from the Middle East?
OpenAI is reportedly attempting to raise a total of $100 billion. Prospective investors include Microsoft, NVIDIA, Middle Eastern sovereign wealth funds, and possibly SoftBank. This is the funding round Huang was referencing earlier. So instead of investing $100 billion as they originally claimed, NVIDIA will invest a much smaller amount of money as part of a larger funding round. After the release of ChatGPT, Sam Altman essentially bluffed his way to the top. OpenAI raised huge amounts of money and signed up for huge data center spending commitments. This was all based on Altman's claims of artificial general intelligence that can cure cancer, none of which is actually going to happen. The likes of NVIDIA and Microsoft need to keep OpenAI alive so as to keep the AI bubble going and support their own stock market valuations. That's why they're participating in OpenAI's funding round.
I'm in danger!
Oh no.
If that were really the case,
what they do is incredible.
Of money as part of a larger funding round. After it's actually going to happen. The likes of NVIDIA and Microsoft need to keep OpenAI alive so as to keep the AI bubble going and support their own stock market valuations. That's why they're participating in OpenAI's funding round. But I don't think Jensen Huang actually believes that OpenAI will cure cancer, or any of Altman's other grandiose claims. That's why he's scaling back the size of the investment from what was originally claimed. Alright guys, that wraps it up for this video. What do you think about NVIDIA and OpenAI? Let us know in the comments section below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Wall Street Millennial, signing out.
Hey everybody, Peach here, and today we're going to take a look at this.
Great video. Great video.
Does anyone else just...
Let's see. So it's this one first. Let's watch Phantom Strider, the cartoon that breaks AI.
What do you mean by that?
Oops.
I noticed something very strange when I was recently watching some Dr. Seuss cartoons from the 1940s and 70s. The AI captions couldn't figure out how to translate Dr. Seuss's writing.
This thing is a need.
From the far end of town, where the grickle grass grows, the old Wanslers.
But as a human, I understood very clearly. I even understood the words as a child. I had these books read to me when I was 6 years old. In fact, it's famous how well kids have understood these books' words for like 80 years. Yet the AI just got confused when Seuss added in just a few of his words. In the original 1970s Dr. Seuss cartoons, it didn't even bother trying to transcribe them. It was just like, nope.
Holy succulent, deliciously, sweetly succulent, fluous, tropular fruits.
Most automatic captions I read on cartoons are relatively accurate.
Oh yeah,
but
not
Dr.
them.
Seuss's words confounded AI. So it got me wondering, if machine learning couldn't replicate or understand this 122-year-old writer's words, could machine learning understand Dr. Seuss's art style? Could it even replicate this art? Now I should make it clear, normally I would absolutely never use AI generation for anything.
Right.
Frankly, I've never even tried till this video. But purely for curiosity's sake, I asked Deep AI to create a Dr. Seuss character. And that was when things got really strange.
Oh,
Like
what?
machine learning just broke halfway. I got no background, the cat in the hat was missing limbs, but weirdest of all, something creepy just kept popping up in the images. It'd draw a missing number, the disembodied parts of a cartoon character. It's like Dr. Seuss's artwork somehow short-circuited the AI. I tried changing my words.
That's a nice
Same
clip.
thing. I even tried asking it to draw different Dr. Seuss characters. But for every character except the Grinch, it just gave up halfway, drew the cat in the hat, and the detached body parts of a cartoon character. And even the cat in the hat was often missing eyes or limbs. I asked myself, does this happen with other cartoon characters? So I compared it to other cartoons. I tried Disney characters and it worked fine. Mickey Mouse looked disturbingly close to the real thing, while still retaining that creepy AI uncanny feel. I tried Bugs Bunny and yeah, he looks weird, but at least he had all his limbs. But Dr. Seuss, it just broke the AI and produced this broken image. So I then asked it to make me an original Dr. Seuss character.
What? It's just an ordinary crabby. Oh my goodness!
Oh,
I just straight
wow.
up asked it to draw Porton Here's a Who from Dr. Seuss, a very famous Dr. Seuss character who even has his own movie. Yet another broken Cat in the Hat image with like a half-completed Cat in the Hat Dr. Seuss something? Why is it AI couldn't create these cartoon characters? I tried Goofy and it generated him fine enough. It created Tom from Tom and Jerry. The images were unbroken and relatively normal as far as AI goes. Even in a cartoon like Adventure Time, the AI drew quote-unquote original characters with a background. But Dr. Seuss could never give me original characters and had zero backgrounds. When it finally...
There's so much less of Dr. Seuss as extra material, I would imagine. You know, you get a Grinch, he said that that was able to be produced properly. But, I mean, you wouldn't want to be drawn like this, or maybe it's not happening all that much, as opposed to Adventure Time, where people commission artists to be drawn in that art style. So it exists a little bit more. It has a little bit more presence in the data sets, I would imagine.
painted a background, the AI started getting confused between the characters in the background, painting both the trees and the cat as alive. I guess Dr. Seuss is a good way to get horror images from AI. I found it could even make Steven Universe original characters. I thought, okay, maybe I'm using the wrong
same.
type of AI. Try changing.
Same thing. I think there's a big community of Steven Universe. So because there's a lot of LGBT representation, or yeah, that's my understanding of it. and so people draw themselves already in that art style. So there's already this association of, extra images or, more art that is associated with it without being from the source material.
Styles into pop art style, and I still got broken characters. With one looking
Oops.
What do you mean by that?
Whoops, I said.
fresh out of Five Nights at Freddy's The Zeus remake. Seriously, never use generative AI for original content. It looks horrendous. Without
Yeah,
fail,
there's
it would always
nothing
show me the
original
cat in the
about
hat
it.
missing like a body part, like an eye or an arm, and often breaking halfway and making that additional creepy cat in the hat, or whatever the hell it was meant to be. So, my last resort, I tried to get AI to draw Dr. Seuss using the quote-unquote children's book illustration generator. That's literally what Dr. Seuss is. But nope, Cat in the Hat is missing both arms with absolute minimal possible generic children's background imagery. So, to the point, what's happening here that's breaking the AI when translating dialogue and trying to generate pictures? Well, this is my uneducated opinion. Let's start with the subtitles. Even in words alone, Dr. Seuss flies in the face of the biggest hurdle AI simply can't replicate: human imagination. Any supposed imagination AI has is just a combination of other people's work combined with random noise.
Building your cybersecurity stack isn't rocket science. Simply create your own security apps with Sola. Get answers to the security questions you really care about and act on them instantly.
AI cannot fill in blanks because it doesn't have the concept of anything beyond its training data. However, within the combination of 86 billion chemical neurons firing within every human walking the earth is that special artifact of imagination. It's helped us survive through the last 100,000 years, so we're really good at it. And the second Dr. Seuss starts using his imagination to create even slight ticks on regular words, the AI just doesn't know what to do with it, because it doesn't have the imagination required to interpret words not in the dictionary. AI can only copy our homework, it can't do its own. And Dr. Seuss inherently requires imagination from both children and adults with some of his wording to understand the meaning, and it seems AI cannot yet replicate that. For example, in the Lorax, Gricklegrass becomes agricole grass? It can't even figure out the onceler, calling him the one seller? No, now he's the washer? I'm feeling really sorry for the hearing impaired. I hope they read the original books, or at least look at the original books online. And just for curiosity AI images, can you make Gricklegrass? Nope, that's just regular grass. So the other big question, what about...
But why would there be automated closed captions? Wouldn't these cartoons already exist from before? So wouldn't there already be proper closed captions? Like, why? What the fuck?
these broken pictures? How do we explain them? Why does Dr. Seuss break AI generation? Well, once again, I don't completely understand AI generation, so I don't know the exact practical reason Dr. Seuss's characters break the AI images. But I do understand AI can't create something from nothing. It can't even create a squiggly MS Paint stick figure without copying off the work of human-created pictures. And somehow this unique 1940s drawing style of Dr. Seuss just breaks it. Is it something about the unique shading on each of the lines of his characters? If you have your own personal theory, I'd love to hear it in the comments.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's because there's not a lot of this that exists as a material, because these are mainly books, right? So you refer to the books. People know about the books, but it doesn't mean that they were all digitalized or made accessible in the same way as you have new media that exists and is present in lots of mediums at the same time because of the nature of uh, how we access information now. If it was made recently, and it had a big craze around it, and people want to be drawn in this artwork, and there would exist more references to it, I think it would be easier. It would be better.
The only one it could kind of successfully make was The Grinch, but with all the monstrosities
Because there's a lot of it as present extra on the internet.
we've gotten in The Grinch, it's like, does it even really stand as Seuss's own work anymore?
Pucker up and kiss it, Whoville!
Thus, the AI has more traditional-looking cartoons to copy The Grinch off, but something about the drawings of a storybook writer from the 1900s just baffles it. I'm certainly not claiming that every book or animation Seuss was involved with was brilliant, or that Seuss himself was without personal failures. But ironically, even in Seuss's death, even amidst the ever-consuming AI rampage of the 2020s, Seuss remains an example of how AI cannot yet understand and replicate human imagination, both art and dialogue. And personally, I think if he was still alive, he'd be pretty happy to be giving that middle finger to AI. The whole thing reminds me of more recent attempts to create CG Dr. Seuss movies. We've seen humans attempting to remake Dr. Seuss's work in computer graphic movies, some more successful than others, but in my opinion, most have been horrible failures. I think the closest the style has gotten to Seuss's original drawings is The Simpsons Halloween special, maybe the Horton Hears a Who movie, but I could certainly be debated on that. So if even 21st century humans rarely recreate Dr. Seuss's writing or artwork even close to what it was, how is
Well, it is already so different. It is not the same type, right? Of one is 2D and the other, these are mainly 3D models. So the details that make it Dr. Seuss personality in these type of shading and lines, you know, they don't make sense to exist in a 3D model. You cannot have this type of shading on a 3D model. It doesn't make sense with the way that a 3D model exists compared to light or around light in a 3D space, as opposed as this, you know, representation of hair or lines or shade, you know. So obviously this is not traducible in the same way. That's why the Simpsons uh, looks the closest to the art style, because it is it is actually the same art style. We see we see these lines. They're right here, you know, lines for like the fur. You see this here as well. These details, they would not be able to be traduced on a 3D model.
AI meant to manage? But once again, I'm speaking from the perspective of someone inexperienced in AI. I'm a literal clown, a quote-unquote entertainer and writer at best, certainly not an expert in artificial intelligence. It's also the perspective of someone who is ignorant. I've never used AI generation tools until now. Is this a normal thing people have seen before? And I'd love to.
Also, you know, you use one model, that they haven't necessarily all been trained uh, with the same information. I don't want to be too picky. Let's see, where was it?
With Canva Code, anything is possible. Even if you think debugging involves pest control, I just tell
Original characters and had zero.
So, what was it?
The images were unbroken and generated him fine enough.
Come on, motherfucker. Deep AI image generator, right? So this is DeepSeek. Is it? Well, I don't know where it's from. So let's try ChatGPT. Is that how you read it? I'm so sorry. Yeah, all right. So here it's not gonna be able to do it. Okay, let's try a little trick. This is yeah. All right. Doctor Seuss. What the fuck you mean? Let's take all right, so I'm gonna ask it to describe this image using terms that are not copyrighted, detail it in a way that if I were to describe it to someone, they would be able to picture this exact image so vividly that they could recreate even the smallest detail from memory. All right. I guess this is a good enough prompt. We're gonna get a something that we're gonna be able to use as our reference. See if using that we're gonna be able to have something that comes close to or is similar to Dr. Seuss style of drawing. But if everybody scraped the internet, if they all took most of the information from the same sources, they should all have like more or less the same limitations, the same type of reactions to certain things, right? So let's see. That's a pretty big description, right? So let's take it all the way down. I mean, it couldn't be more detailed, right? Let's just go over it real quick, right? Overall composition. So, well, first of all, it does say that it's hand drawn, inking in watercolor, um, you know, on real paper. I would imagine this looks like a handmade drawing or something similar. You get a whole bunch of description for each specific detail, right? Let's go to ChatGPT and please make a drawing with these exact specifications. So this absolutely nothing copyrighted, so no reference to Dr. Seuss, but the closest, most detailed definition Are you fucking with me? What do you mean text-based? Were you fucking with me? Okay, I moved it, but it didn't change anything. All right. Please make a drawing with these exact specifications. Let's go, motherfucker. If you do another fucking ASCII stick, I'm gonna lose it. So I'm so curious now. I am so curious. That is so crazy. So he called it Cat in the Hat with Things. I guess the model doesn't care, right? I was able to identify that this was it. And now all right, so now we got Cat in the Hat with Things 1 and 2. So this is it, right? Next step would be to say like Dr. Seuss Cat. It was the same identical drawing. But the faces are absolutely not right. The boy is fucked. The same boy is fucked. These are identical. So this prompt and this prompt, they are interpreted by the model exactly the same way. They even put the Dr. Seuss signature. But it is not the right style. It is the right image, right? So it depends which model. It depends on the data set. But the part about the prompt here, this and this producing the exact same thing is very interesting to me. Find it very peculiar. But as said in the video, it doesn't respect the style. Like, everything was too perfect. Look at those straight lines here, doesn't make sense. Look at the top hat. You know, it's almost a straight line. It looks, and this one's so curvy. Let's see what we have for the hat. The tallest figure stands in the middle, occupying most of the vertical space. Okay, but that central figure, body and posture. Cat's body, no, just the hat. Hold on. The left half of the body, viewer's left side. This is right. But this is not right. This is the other side. Yeah, so many things are wrong. So impressive, right? This is gonna cure cancer. It was a great video. It was an awesome video. Well, doesn't matter. Let's support, keep supporting. All right, let's watch. Let's watch Halo Haley. The absurdity of modern life has become concerning. That.
Does anyone else just kind of have the feeling that you're stuck within an episode of a TV show now? Like everything used to be so normal, and then one day, suddenly, just like that, everything became so absurd out of nowhere? Yeah, I get that feeling when I saw a TikTok with almost 1 million likes, where in the first slide, they start off by saying that they owe ChatGPT the biggest apology, because when this person asked the AI to generate an image of how it feels like it's being treated, it generates a picture of a person using ChatGPT like a slave while saying, "Hurry up, I need another meme." And there were hundreds, if not thousands, of people in this comment section saying that they did the exact same thing, and the AI generated pictures of itself crying when being given another prompt. So
What? This is bad. This is normalizing projecting emotion onto this shit. This is bad. This is no, they're so sad.
now we also have them feeling like they owe ChatGPT an apology as well. And it's like, guys, get a goddamn grip. Not only is this program not even real, like it's not a human being, but you
God
guys
bless.
barely, if at all, have even an ounce of this empathy for your fellow human beings. So where the hell are our priorities? Because it's going to take our jobs on a mass scale, and it's stealing water from already water scarce regions. But does it feel bad?
That is a good point. That is a good point. It has so much impact in so many different spheres, but thankfully it might not succeed. It might crash and burn. Well, not thankfully, it doesn't matter. The outcome is going to be bad either way. Either it works and it does take most of the jobs, or it just doesn't work and the economy crashes. You ready for that?
About that? Absolutely not. You guys don't actually owe AI anything. It's serving the purpose that it was created for. So stop feeling bad for it, because there are much bigger.
It wasn't meant for memes. It wasn't meant to make stupid videos. It was not meant for any of that. In reality, oh jeez. What they really wanted to do was what we see with Palantir and all this shit, but what do you do with something that is so wrong so often?
Issues that actual human beings are facing in this world right now.
We're really going on a journey for this one, so buckle up. A lot of the companies that were selling clothing to women in the 50s and 60s and 70s features models that were like happy to be there and they were inviting you in, versus in the 90s when you were like clearly not invited to the party. And then in the 2000s and 2010s, this was kind of like the MO of cool. She's like the aloof party girl. She's effortless but rich. Like she leisures, she doesn't really do much during the day. And then we all sat around for 2 years and did nothing, so the goalpost therefore has to move. And the goalpost moves to effort equals cool. And you see this in the rise of gorecore or luxury fashion outerwear in urban centers. It is no longer cool to sit around and do nothing. You have to look cool while also doing something, or you at least have to be perceived as doing something, which is why you see a huge rise in like the paint and sip night economy. Also see it in what people are pinning and what people want to dress like, which is what inspired this video. This is all over my Pinterest page. People are pinning this outfit. Arguably not a fit. Like, you need to look so busy, like you have so much going on that you didn't even pay attention to your outfit, and what it leads to are just people looking normal and living their life, but in a way that's like referring back to itself.
They are fuck. They're performing. This is so meta. What was it? The simulacra get reality as it was. Then it became a representation of reality. Then the representation was there for so long that people forgot what reality was. And so the representation became the reality. And now we have the simulacra of the representation of reality. So you have people performing, being regular people so they can be not regular people. What the fuck?
And then make people obsessed with like looking normal, basically.
I actually hated everything about that video. Having a lot more human existing. So you're telling me that
That's it.
new trend on Pinterest is looking like you're always busy and constantly doing something, but always making sure that you look good while doing it, but not trying so hard to the point where it seems fake, like you're putting on an act, but also trying just enough to the point where it makes people want to add that outfit to their Pinterest boards as well, but also just simply living your life and ignoring that.
You know, this is what happens when you have. What do? You had modern times, you had post modern times, and you had post modern time. But all of that was a while ago, and now we're post that. It's so fucked up. It is so fucking weird.
Noise all at the same time because you're just too good to care about online validation, all while doing this exclusively for online validation.
Right?
Okay, right. That's definitely a trend within society that's quite indicative of how normal we are right now. Right, guys? Jesus Christ, the internet is rotting us and our culture.
For fuck's sake. Both of them. ChatGPT.
I just cried with my mom because I just realized how credit cards work. And I'm a smart person. I was just looking at my credit card balance and I was kind of confused that it was what it was. And so I looked at my transactions just like over the past several months and I see all these like interest charges and I'm like, what the hell? Like why have I been being charged all these interest charges if I pay every month. So I was only paying the
The
minimum,
minimum.
every month. I thought that, is that not?
This is by design. That's how it happens. This is how they get you. This this is just part of it. They don't want you to be financially literate. You have to learn either on your own, or if you know, your parents, they teach you, or your family. But the sad reality is that it's been like that for a minute, and it is by design. This is how, you know, some of the stuff keeps going. So if you're lucky, your parents teach. If you're lucky, your parents taught you, and if you're a little less lucky, you you had to learn on your own. And if you're even a little less luckier than that, you learn from experience. So you went through the same thing, you overcame it. Yeah, but this is sad. This is on purpose.
Logical that the minimum, like you just have to pay the minimum every month. So I've only been paying the minimum every month. I didn't know you had to pay at least what you spent that month. Call me stupid, I don't care. But I was only paying the minimum, which was like often $65.
How is an adult gonna say, I just realized how credit cards work and I'm a smart person in the same sentence?
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
Gen Z, can we start being a little bit more serious and mature about our lives for the first time in our lives? As somebody who is turning 22 next month, I genuinely do not understand how people who are also in their 20s don't know how a credit card works. Like, how did you
I mean, this is tough love right there. You gotta learn. You gotta do it.
make it this far in your life without knowing? I knew what a credit card was when I was 12. This level.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Okay, so that, you know, there's a little. I don't want to say overreaction, but I'm gonna say a little too much toughness right here, because it's not everybody. As I mean, if you've watched, no excuses.
Of ignorance and stupidity within Gen Z when regarding finances cannot be blamed solely on their parents or their educators at school, because you literally know what you're getting yourself into when you sign up for a credit card. They tell you. And if you weren't listening while applying for a credit card, and if you didn't understand what interest fees were while applying for the credit card, then why did you never?
Yeah, they don't. You don't just apply. They shove these credit cards. I don't know if you have like a different rules regarding that in Australia, but they give out credit cards like if it were peppermints, and banks were old geysers close to dying, which is not too far off.
Go to Google and look up what interest fees were before signing up.
Listen, lady, Google wasn't there. You've grown up with that, but that shit wasn't there forever.
For the card. You can do that. If you only had to pay $65 a month to buy literally whatever you wanted, then don't you think that every single person in this world right now would be doing that? Have some common sense.
It's called the debt crisis. This is yeah, everybody did that. This is why there's so much debt right now, because everybody's being conditioned to do exactly that. That's how it works.
Is just crazy how proudly clueless some people within my generation
That's true.
are. Now
That's
you've
true.
racked up possibly thousands of dollars worth of interest fees. You still haven't paid your credit card debt in full yet either, because you thought $65 a month of repayments was enough. And now your credit score is probably destroyed because of it. And do you know how long that's going to take to repair?
At this point, what's the credit score except just your GOI score?
A long time. Like, do people just not want to learn anything anymore before possibly fooling around with bankruptcy?
Showering tips for my online children. Bring yourself a comfort item so if you need to step out, it can ground you. Take breaks. Step out if you become stressed or overwhelmed by the process. Have a reward for when you finish. This is great motivation.
Apparently you can go from 0 to a
What the
complete site
fuck
with just a
was
single
that?
prompt with Wix Harmony. I don't know if this is going to be possible.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
We are going to have an uncomfortable conversation, and y'all might not like this, but you need to hear it. You should not need a comfort item to ground you if you need to step out of the shower. That is ridiculous. You are literally...
Alright, I'm so sorry. Oh, this is a little too much to do for me. So we're gonna try that one afterwards. It's a little shorter, so hopefully she won't yell at me like that. Let's watch Rob Braxman. OpenClaw, are AI agents useful? Let's find out.
While Microsoft pushes Windows Copilot and its Agentic OS, an open source project called OpenClaw beat them to it with nearly 200,000 GitHub stars in explosive growth in just a few weeks. As a personal assistant, it's underwhelming, maybe even stupid for some, but for general computer work, it's mind-boggling. This is AI that actually does things, not just chats. Big Tech's $650 billion AI infrastructure spend in 2026 isn't mostly for training models. It's for inference and agents like this. Demand, massive. Privacy, you control it. No Microsoft
privacy.
spying like recall. Cybersecurity holes exist, but it's Big Tech free. Let's dive in. Stay right there.
You gotta put your hand on the lens.
Let's first get our arms around the topic. It's about AI that actually does things, not just talk to you in chat. This AI tool is called OpenClaw, and it runs AI agents. Microsoft has been selling you this concept for years now with Copilot. But suddenly we have an open source project.
No, because it used to be AI, and now it's AI agents. So, but behind it's still the same stupid shit.
Where you can run this AI on your own machine, where you can understand everything happening under the hood, and no secret compilation
That's not exactly true.
of your data, like what happens with Windows Recall. You don't have to worry about privacy threats so much since you control everything. My OpenClaw setup. First, let's discuss the pieces of the infrastructure for running OpenClaw AI agents. Number one, a dedicated AI machine. You need a dedicated AI machine. I studied the options and I settled on running it on a computer I already had. It doesn't have to be super powerful. It can be any kind of OS, but I'm running my AI machine on a Linux computer. Number two, LLM model. Aside from the machine, you need access to an AI model. There are cloud API providers like
Yeah, you gotta be careful with that because it also goes against most providers' terms and terms of services and usage policies. So there are people reporting getting their account banned. So
OpenAI, XAI, Gemini, Anthropic, to mention the big players. But for the best privacy, I'm using Olama here, which provides open source models and no learning from my prompts. However, loading Olama models locally didn't work too well, which is too bad since local models are free. The reason is that OpenClaw is a very heavy AI user, so it was way too slow to run locally. I tested first with XAI, but after 1 day of use, I already consumed $25 of API time.
yeah, this is something that people have been complaining. People, because a whole bunch of people just jumped on that shit. People that don't necessarily have proper technical knowledge, or they just, I don't know, just jumped on it, and they saw that their consumption just went through the roof. Apparently, there's some optimizations that you can do, or you can, you can try to mitigate how it works or how much it consumes. Uh, but it's all part of the problem and how it works. Just keep in mind that that shit. Um, First, it was mold mold claw. Man, I don't remember. Moldbot, Cloudbot, no Cloudbot, Moldbot, OpenClaw. It was vibe coded. It's just stupid.
So that wasn't going to work. I instead went to Olama and they have cloud models you can access. I signed up for a pro plan, which is $20 a month, and the price is fixed, regardless of how much OpenClaw uses it. For my test, I used the cloud model. GPT OSS 120B Cloud. Number 3, web search. In addition to the Olama Cloud subscription, I also subscribe to Brave Search API, which gives me the ability to do web search in OpenClaw. This was $5 for 1,000 searches, and I'm nowhere near that. Number 4, messaging app. To talk to OpenClaw remotely, you have a choice of different messaging apps, but the original OpenClaw one was made using Telegram. I'm not a Telegram user, so actually having a dedicated use of Telegram for AI was good. I have Telegram installed on my phone, other computers, and my AI machine so I can talk to it from anywhere. Number 5, OpenClaw. Next, you have to install OpenClaw. I'm going to skip the installation process here. I'll tell you right now that it is complicated and I had to repeat it multiple times to get it right. But quick tip, the only important thing really is to enter the information about the model being used, and for Olama, it really is just about specifying the cloud model that I'm using. The base configuration is actually in a single file, which is openclaw.json. So if you back up this file and the workspace directory, you could install this over and over and not miss a beat.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete
Basics of how an AI agent works. Now let's explain the very simple way that AI agents work. Once you understand this, you actually have to set aside preconceived notions of how you interact with the computer. Everything you do is based on natural language, and that's what the LLM is for. And most of you have good experience chatting with LLM AI in some chat interface. OpenClaw intercepts this interaction with the LLM. Just a terminology thing for you: when you ask an LLM a question, that is called a prompt. The size of the prompt is referred to as the context window. While you assume it is just a few sentences of your
Yeah, there's the system prompt, there's the framework that they have behind there's a whole context that exists that is not shown to you.
Question, this can actually be quite large. The typical context window size today is 200 to 400,000 tokens or words. But to make it seem sophisticated, an
It doesn't translate one to one. It's not one token, one word.
OpenClaw passes large amounts of background information with the prompt. This can include memory of past interactions. It also includes a description of how the LLM should act with you. And then the secret sauce is that based on what you ask the AI, OpenClaw gives the LLM instructions that if you ask something from the AI that is a tool available to OpenClaw, then the LLM will insert some text in the response that OpenClaw can intercept. For example, if you talk to the AI machine and you ask it to email the current weather to you, the word email is converted by the LLM to some trigger format like this. This will then be intercepted by OpenClaw to launch some particular agent. Again, the trigger words and their corresponding natural language equivalent are actually part of the context provided to the AI in every prompt. The ability to pull out trigger words from the LLM response is just referred to as a parser tool, and it's a very common algorithm in programming languages. This, though, is where OpenClaw inserts guardrails to ensure that commands are constrained according to the security rules. But the other thing that
Yeah.
happens is that these trigger commands are put in a queue, so it would seem like a single step, but are just commands done in a particular order. This gives you the perception that OpenClaw is super smart and is doing sophisticated work. The actual secret is the amount of context provided to the LLM and its ability to spit out triggers.
And this was a big issue as well because this shit is presented as having infinite memory and being having a lot of big benefits. But the thing is that it doesn't have infinite memory. People have hit limits pretty quickly. There's a whole bunch of gimmicks also that they use to mimic autonomy and I mean initiative, but I would include that as being autonomous. So it is presented as being this thing that can do stuff while you sleep, right? But all of them, everybody that makes video, everybody that talk about it, everybody that set it up, they all had this issue where it did not do that. So what they have to do is a gimmick, right? They do gimmicks to make it do things. So if it stops, because apparently it's just gonna stop randomly. So because they know that it stops randomly, they have it's called cron jobs. That's on Linux. You could say that it's a scheduled task or just you know at a set frequency at a specific time. There's a program that writes it and quote unquote wakes him up, right? And then picks up. Otherwise, it's unable to just keep working. So it's a whole bunch of gimmicks.
Large amounts of text are provided to the LLM to even issue just some simple command, since it will include all the background context, pre instructions, and tool definitions, and what was done before. And this is why AI agents are costly if you use token based pricing because the prompts are huge. In OpenClaw, it doesn't track what you do without your knowledge. Instead, you teach it your preferences, and then it can save those in files, which it will read and add to the AI context window. You can see what the files are and what it has stored about your interactions here. There's a skill.md and a soul.md and a memory folder.
Yeah, I mean it's just gimmicks, right? if you have if you have memory, why would it be stored in a file, right?
With all the interactions in the past. Again, repeating, these files are made part of the prompt context. Memory is just sending all the history of session actions together with the latest prompt. So the LLM interacts with each prompt in isolation. OpenClaw is the one providing the complete background. Now you understand that agents are simply commands intercepted by the OpenClaw parser from LLM responses. And when a trigger is received, it launches the appropriate tool and the AI will pass it applicable parameters. OpenClaw is smart enough to save parameters like credentials in another file so you can keep interactions brief. OpenClaw specifically listens in on the LLM via what it calls the gateway, which is like a looping listener. And then every single time it loops and reads what happened before and adds it to the context and gives you the appearance of a continuous conversation. And as I said before,
Appearance.
triggers for agents are placed in an action queue. In terms of execution, OpenClaw agents are just launching script files or adding a new message to the loop by itself. On the script side, anything that runs in command line or CLI will work. CLI means command line interface. This could just be a .sh file or bash command scripts. Sometimes it is some built-in Linux command like curl, MySQL, PHP, sendmail, and so on. Anything you can run in a Linux terminal can be run by OpenClaw. As far as permissions go, OpenClaw is basically using your user ID on Linux and doing whatever your user is allowed to do on the machine. This is super powerful when you understand it. It also provides you with the mechanism to set a security guardrail. OpenClaw can list files, create files, read files, delete files, set permissions, and execute files. It can also generate the content that goes into a file. But it does this in sequence and seemingly in a single instruction. So if you ask OpenClaw to send email, it will be able to save the credentials to a file, create a Python script to send the email, execute the script, and send the email with whatever message you want.
Just be mindful. There is hallucinations. So you might ask him to do that and ask him if he did it, and he's going to say, yes, I did it, and he will not have done it. We saw it when Wes Roth was talking about his setup and his experience, configuring it, and he said, change your voice, and the model said, I changed my voice, and it had not happened. This is 100% guaranteed that there is going to be hallucinations. So there are things that you're going to ask to be done, they will not be done, and you're going to get confirmation that it is going to be done, or you're going to get the opposite. Things that you did not ask might be done. So we've seen hard drives being erased, completely wiped. We've seen a lot of little issues. I would be worried. I mean, I am not gonna set up any of that shit. Feels pretty stupid to me.
Thus, certain agents are tasked to do these things without further bidding. That is how it can send email and learn to do it on its own. No email script needs to exist in advance. But it can also execute existing commands in the command line. Let's talk about crazy stuff. I tested OpenClaw's full power. I had it SSH to one of my other cloud servers, then run commands on that server, and then give me back the results on Telegram. OpenClaw has rights via SSH to create files, read files, execute files, just like it can do locally. So it could write a script in Bash or Python and execute it on the remote machine. And here's the incredible part. This is vibe coding. The LLM could write the code by itself. You don't need to know any programming. Sure, there
No issues with vulnerabilities here, right? Oh man, I didn't that window. I didn't know where I was.
and log. Aside, normally it just reads the HTML code and sees if it can interpret what the website wants to do. So let's be clear that this is the least developed skill in OpenClaw, and this is where
Oh,
the LM
bro.
could write the code by itself. You don't need to know.
Listen, the skills is a whole nother issue. We saw, I think it was about 1/3 of the skills were infected, were malicious, credential stealers. Uh, every single step that constitutes what OpenClaw is a risk. It's so crazy.
Any programming. Sure, there's a lot of setup to allow all this because of security issues. So there's an initial complexity in getting it configured. But after you get it done, suddenly you're like thinking, what the zuck? What did I enable here? Certainly, the limitations of agents are that it doesn't work as smoothly when it has to interact with a graphical interface like a website. Normally, it just reads the HTML code and sees if it can interpret what the website wants to do. So let's be clear that this is the least developed skill in OpenClaw, and this is where the personal assistant uses abound. This will improve in the future with thousands of developers addressing this. Likely, many websites and apps can just have simpler text-based interfaces to allow agents faster access. But when it comes to command line or CLI interactions, this is huge, and enterprise servers are already CLI capable today.
What do you mean, bruh? Are MCP servers meant for that?
What do we use it for? So this is the big question. Frankly, I see so many videos of YouTube creators trying to make it big with broad statements of how fantastic this thing is, and the main demonstrated uses are very limited. And the reason is that AI agents aren't really too exciting for personal use. This has been the flaw in the Microsoft Copilot push in the consumer arena. And OpenClaw is even more limited in the personal assistant side. Due to cybersecurity risk, OpenClaw is locked down so its base configuration doesn't talk to websites well or logs in without your permission. It can't go to Amazon and start buying toilet paper for you. At least not in its base state. Sure, in some limited way, it could likely make a reservation on OpenTable.
I mean, people have had API keys leaked, credentials. I don't know about secure.
And yes, it can check weather, and yes, with the proper tool loaded, it can even read, delete, and reply to emails. That one I haven't tried yet. Sure, it has a cron job built in, so it can repeat tasks if you ask it to. Like to test, I asked it to email me a weather forecast daily. That's pretty much the summation of the personal assistant side of things. The effect of this is that you stop going to the apps or the websites, and instead the AI agent communicates with you via a single interface, in this case, Telegram. But is this a killer app use? No. I don't spend hours looking at a weather app. Email is likely the only major pain point in personal use. Now let's get our mind blown. The real game changer here is that the AI machine can create files, read and edit them, change permissions, execute them. These files.
You can do the same shit with a script. There's nothing new under the sun here. A script would be resilient because there wouldn't be any chance of hallucinations.
Files can contain either data or code. I already said this earlier. I'm being repetitive. But maybe this is not sinking in. You can create an agent that can build out its own infrastructure. It can write its own code and it can connect to the internet and pass this data to other machines.
Its own code that is not gonna work. It's not gonna work if you have. Uh, I'm discouraged, honestly. I don't know.
Can even control remote machines, as I've already shown. The piece that I didn't really make clear is that
This is all doable by script. It would be better. It would be better.
I gave the AI natural language instructions. Like in my test, I said, send an email about a particular thing. And the AI decided it should just write Python code to handle it from there and then create a recurring cron job to repeat it. It just did it. AI can just build out its own infrastructure from your instructions and your needs. So I asked it to send an email and it made this script. Now we know AI can write programming code and display it in your chat. That's nothing new. But when it can write it and execute it in the same context, it skips a lot of steps in between and then makes it reusable. I didn't even go this far, but you could ask it to interface with a MySQL database using the MySQL command in Bash. CLI database access OMG. It can create a database on it.
OMG, drop table, star. That one's gonna be a OMG. That's gonna be OMG, or more like OMG. Oh no.
Its own. It can query existing databases. Again, if it can be done via command line, then OpenClaw can already do it.
But if it can be done by a command line, it can be scripted, and scripted would be better because there's less chances of mistakes. You know, the natural language is closer to you, right? But it is hard for the model to get everything right. We saw that it fucks up Dr. Seuss. But if you talk in the language that the computer understands, it's not gonna make any mistakes. I don't know. I don't know.
It can access, create, and execute PHP. That's a command line interface. If you want to see all this, ask me to make another video on it. Let me give you a super simple example so you understand the implications.
Welcome to the next evolution of AI, built right into the AlterX platform. Now, you can bring the power.
Simplified small business example. You have a small air conditioning installation company. An AI.
It would be so stupid to trust it for in enterprise environment. So what are you going to do when you're going to be losing clients because it's not going to be doing 100% of the time whatever you ask it? What is going to happen when it's going to treat, I don't know, documents that you receive from clients and it's gonna fuck it up? You won't know because you're gonna trust it, so you won't know.
Guy sets up OpenClaw on a Linux server. The AI guy has figured out that the workflow should be triggered by email, all natural language based. This AI machine then is given access to all the company email accounts, sales, service, and so on from the website, and
What the
also
fuck?
private
That is a
email
bad
addresses of
idea.
individual employees. OpenClaw can have agents listening to the emails which are tied to the website. If it's sales related, OpenClaw can book the appointment and send some basic promo materials.
Exactly. So there's so many things. It could miss the email. You could say that it received the email and it treated it and not have done it. It every single part is a point of failure now. It's so crazy.
Then OpenClaw can forward the email to the specific salesperson for in-person interactions. But now all the pre-sales is done. If it's a service call, OpenClaw can automatically forward the email to the appropriate technician. there could be a database of technicians that OpenClaw can create. Communications can be handled by OpenClaw to talk to people on other apps, including Signal, Telegram, or even SMS. It can even talk to you. This is a small business, yes, simple. Then you can get advanced. You can start creating full sales pitch material so that the AI can actually start convincing the customer why your product is better. And when something is beyond the understanding of the
All right. All right. So let's say it is so good. It is so good that it's able to do all of that shit. We just saw that using two very different prompts, I got the exact same drawing. What is going to happen? Because this is a revolution, right? This is such a big revolution. Everybody's going to have it. All the companies are going to use it. Everybody is going to implement it in the same way. So, what are you going to do when all the companies have the same sales pitch and you can't get any client because you're effectively shitting enterprise grade slop? How about that? How about that one? What is going to happen when, your sales pitch, your marketing strategies, they're all the same as everybody else because they're all using the same shit that doesn't look so bright to me.
AI, it can then respond that it will forward that question to my manager, and then that reaches some higher level human. Sales can be recorded in natural language form, and it will be recorded in the sales database without needing any programming or user interface.
This is such a risk because it's going to say that it's done it all the time. And what about the times it's not done?
Orders for a supply of air conditioning units can be handled all by natural language, similar to the old days before computers. Inventory can be done by sending packing slip emails to the AI. What I didn't tell you here is that this could all be stored in structured databases, just like some custom program system. But here, there's no AI created, at least at the beginning. So then you can ask the AI to give you a report of sales for the month. No problem, since it can query the database on its own. Suddenly, we are automating small businesses that had none of these before. Unfortunately, the office staff that used to handle all of this will likely not be needed. Now, this could get too big for one OpenClaw, so you can launch multiple OpenClaw agents so that each one specializes in one task.
What do you mean? If it's supposed to have infinite memory and do infinite shit, why isn't it able to handle all on its own?
Hey, my English not so
Che
good.
su
My
madre.
English isn't very good.
Yes, I'm sorry.
How often do
Don't
you
be
practice
sorry, just
speaking?
practice.
The white collar job crisis. Whether we like it or not,
Uh, don't be too worried about it because it used to be, it was supposed to happen in 2024. Thankfully, we checked everybody's schedule. It didn't line up all that much. We tried for 2025. But then, personally, I was a little busy last year, so it didn't really fit for me. So we were trying to set it up for this year, but I mean, look around, right? We're not even sure that we're going to be able to build the next gen data center. So, I mean, nobody would believe us if we'd say that it's going to happen this year. So, we actually pushed the goalpost again, but not too far off. Yeah, I mean, a year and a half. I think that's a good ballpark. they just keep pushing the goalposts every single fucking time. It is unlikely to happen at this point. At this point, it has been pushed back so much that it. I just feel like this is never gonna happen. We saw we saw a video with real life application, real life tests. None of these benchmark, alleged benchmark, none of them work IRL, right? They are unable to replace human jobs. So it's not gonna happen.
This will affect jobs, as I already indicated in my example. Yes, the air conditioning installation company will have the same service staff and the same installation staff and likely the same sales staff, but there's less need for back office staff. We have to be strategic in thinking about what the effect of this is on the job market. Those in jobs that need to develop trust in customers, like salespeople, especially for high end products, are very safe. Those that do physical work are safe until robots enter the picture in the job market. Those that invent and create are safe. AI is not good at inventing innovative new things. For those looking at opportunities, especially those in IT related fields, it is not about being the best coder anymore. As my example shows, it is the practical side of understanding what a company needs and being able to configure an AI agent to perform that task. It's more about domain expertise. I bet a prior manager of an air conditioning installation company could build an AI system. With a tool like OpenClaw, it shows that a person with domain expertise requires some ability to understand how the AI models work and how it triggers tasks via an AI agent. Understanding this architecture is not complex, but it can be a very powerful skill. It is not dissimilar to my original role as a systems analyst back in the day in my first job. Basically, AI experts need to interact with real people and learn their needs and tasks and document them, then turn around and tell the AI what those needs and tasks are and have the AI do it. In this case, you teach the AI in OpenClaw based on conversations. But the neat thing is, if you save the configuration files it creates, you can reproduce it without starting from scratch each time. Everything is natural language. All documents.
That was a good video. We love Rob. Makes awesome videos.
Welcome back to the Papa Meat channel.
We need to have a serious.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be able
Well,
to do that
it's
today. Okay, this is gonna be awesome. I don't know about awesome, but we love Wes. We love Wes. He's got his cool shades on. Let's see what is going on with OpenClaw.
Well, it's just happened. The day that a lot of us were dreading just today really fully rolled out. Anthropic took the banhammer to OpenClaw. So I'm sure a lot of you are kind of confused right now, not sure what the big fuss is. What did Anthropic
Because it goes against the terms and condition that they've established.
actually do? Let's break it down. Recently, there were more and more various attempts to build various AI agents, basically these agentic loops, using large language models for providers like Anthropic. There were tons, but the biggest one was OpenClaw, the thing that started out as a Claude bot, then it changed to Moltbot, and then changed to OpenClaw. Peter, the person behind OpenClaw, recently was acquired to go work at OpenAI. And now, just within the last 24 hours, but this is still kind of rolling out, Anthropic makes it very clear that the way in which a lot of us were using OpenClaw and relying on Claude technology, we went about it in the wrong ways, and that will not be allowed moving forward. So basically how it works is a lot of these agentic harnesses are basically kind of like a vehicle, and you can put a pilot in, and the pilot being your favorite large language model, and you can kind of switch them in and out as needed. You can replace them, you can use different ones for different tasks. A lot of people really like Claude 4.5 Opus and more recently 4.6. So a lot of us were mainly relying on Anthropic's technology to power OpenClaw or whatever other open source agent we were using. Again, OpenClaw was really the massive one that attracted a lot of attention, a lot of usage. Now, normally when you're using something like this, you run it through the API. The API allows you to kind of directly ask questions from their large language models. You don't have to go through the interface of the chatbot. It's very fast, it's very scalable. You can add whatever customizations, code, and whatever you want. But, you know, if you're using the chatbot, usually it's what, $20 a month or something like that. It's kind of a flat rate. If you're using it through the API, most of those are going to be on a sort of per use basis or per millions of tokens basis. So Claude Opus API pricing is $15 per a million input tokens and $75 per million output tokens. So as you're running these AI agents, as you're using the API, you're kind of running up a bill. Whereas if you're using a chatbot, it's sort of unlimited, as much as you can use basically. You pay the $20 a month and that's it. And then you have something that's maybe kind of in between. So for example, you have the Claude Max subscription that runs you $200 a month. But that's a flat rate, and it allows you more or less unlimited use of, for example, Claude Code. So if you're running Claude Code and you're on the Claude Max subscription plan, you're paying $200 a month, you get pretty much unlimited use. There's some threshold and throttling that happens if you exceed certain tiers or whatever, but you're not paying more than $200. And so whenever you're setting up Claude Code on your computer, right, you log into the Anthropic servers to get an authentication key. And the thing kind of looks like an API key, it's just formatted a little bit differently. This is what you hear referring to as the OAuth key. It's an authentication key that allows you to use your Claude Max account to run Claude Code. But a lot of these open source agents, including OpenClaw, just use that authentication key to power their own abilities, to power their own kind of harness. So what that means is if I'm running OpenClaw and I have that Claude Max subscription, which is $200 a month, I basically have unlimited use of OpenClaw and whatever the latest model that I want to use, Opus 4.5 or Opus 4.6, for $200 a month, I get unlimited use. Whereas if I...
But we saw that it's able to go through token consumption so high, so quickly, that most likely with this setup, it was real bad. It was real bad for Anthropic because they're all losing a little bit. Or I think Anthropic was the only one that was positive. Or I mean, probably not by a lot. So having their usage abused like that, I mean, that's got to be expensive.
Used the API key and had to pay, you know, based on usage. I mean, I probably would have burned through thousands of dollars per month, 1,000 plus certainly, depending on how much you use it for, how often it runs, if you have kind of the heartbeat set up to where it keeps looping, do you set it to run during the night, etc., stuff like that. So basically, up until today, one power user with one of those Claude Max subscriptions could generate thousands of dollars of compute costs monthly, or the equivalent to that. And of course, you can see how that is a problem for Anthropic. I'm still a bit ticked off with them, but I want to make sure that we sort of understand where they're coming from. I mean, there are probably people that are running up quite a bill running these agents. And of course, Anthropic wants the data to be with Claude Code on their servers, in their infrastructure, in their ecosystem. But about a month ago, they started making changes. They started making certain announcements, changing their terms, and seemingly kind of preparing for today or the last 24 hours when they finally pulled the plug and said no more. So those Claude Code OAuth tokens will only now be used for Anthropic tools like Claude Code. Everything else gets cut off. So that whole Ralph Wiggin plugin that people played around with, OpenClaw, NanoClaw, PicoClaw, like anything with claw on it, all of those applications are
I saw a
now
cat
not
too.
only formal.
There's a cat too, right? This one has a cat also, but oh well, doesn't matter.
Banned, but we're beginning to see reports that people are getting cut off, their workflows just kind of collapse overnight. I don't think they just shut off everything, but definitely we're beginning to see kind of like the first signs of the fallout. As you can imagine, Anthropic is not very beloved right now. People are mad. Now, OpenAI did something extremely intelligent. They sort of seized this moment and they explicitly confirmed that their subscriptions, kind of like their version of it, their version of the authorization tokens, can be used for external API calls. And what we're beginning to see is this migration wave. Most likely, this is going to trigger a
What a
visible,
power
massive
move.
migration wave. We are already seeing it. I just feel like it.
Yeah, because you've heard him, right? People are using OpenClaw with multiple models, so people, these all these early adopters, people that just jump on the ship. Most of them, I have no clue. A lot of them have multiple subscription, or the other thing that I saw was they run with a model. You know, they get the monthly subscription. They run with a model for however all how long, up until there's more progress done from another model, then they're just gonna change the subscription. So I've seen people jump ship, uh, whenever, when it's convenient, and people running multiple subscriptions. So it won't even be an issue for most people. I would bet.
It's only beginning. By the way, the first warning shot was actually January 9th, 2026. That was when the technical block was silently deployed and
Yeah, because I mean, it's been known that people have had already started being banned from Entropic because of that specifically. So this is not surprising to anyone, honestly. Or if it is, nah, I don't want to say it. Nothing too
that's when
bad.
a lot of people already saw kind of they were waking up to broken workflows across anything that they build, kind of using those tools and that infrastructure. And that happened with no advanced notice. So it sounds like Anthropic kind of implemented back then and then slowly was getting ready to sort of roll this thing out. Official documentation published February 17th formalized this. And so now this is explicitly a terms of service violation. So why is this important? Let's say you're not using OpenClaw. Why should you care? Because this isn't just about one tool or one company or how we use these authentication tokens. This is about how the AI developer ecosystem will continue building. Unfortunately, right now, Anthropic's coming out and saying that Claude Code and their entire ecosystem will be.
I mean, yeah, they don't. Most likely, they don't want you to use any of that shit because they're gonna provide something that's going to do the same shit. They're gonna. I would bet they want to keep you inside and have you locked in.
A walled garden.
Not in a
Say
good
it's
way.
protected. There's going to be only certain sanctioned ways in which you're allowed to use it.
Right.
Every other tool, no matter how popular it is, and no matter how well built it is, well, it's
Oh, yeah. Come on, don't say that. Are you saying that OpenClaw is well built? Bro, come on.
locked out.
It's been
By
vibe coded.
default, it's banned, or at least against the terms of service, would could get your account banned if you use it with that tool. So now developers and AI.
Well, I mean, they're going to lose people, paying customers, right? So that's gonna hurt. They probably don't want to lose the people that already paid $200 a month. So it is unlikely that they would do just a big ass ban wave like that. But they're making it so that it's just not working. So it is effectively the same, right? Functionally.
enthusiasts that want to kind of continue tinkering with this stuff. Well, all of us have a choice. Do we stay in Anthropic's ecosystem, accept their decisions about what we're allowed to use their code for and what we're not allowed to use it for, accept their decisions about are we allowed to use certain tools or not, and also are we willing to pay the 5 to 25x more expensive, API calls to use those models, or do we move to OpenAI or Google or perhaps even open source models that will not restrict our
Creators, take these 3 apps I built to run my business made with Base 44. They're ready for you as free-to-use templates in the link below. Let's talk productivity. As a one-man show, I have to handle everything myself.
Tool choices. Now, it is important to understand that Anthropic did make an economically viable decision. They needed to make that business decision. They can't have hundreds of thousands of people, burning up through all the tokens while paying a fixed flat amount. You can't have frontier models plus, flat rates plus agentic loops that can run 24 hours a day. So I'm definitely not dismissing that. I get it. But wow, are they looking like the bad guy here? First of all, Peter, the creator of all of this, who built such a great tool, who put the Claude series of models.
Come on, man. Peter Steinberger is an Austrian software developer known for creating OpenClaw, an open source AI agent framework that gained massive popularity for being largely vibe coded. There has been so much people having bad situations develop because of it, because of the way that they configured this shit or whatever. You're gonna say it's such a great thing. Come on, bro. You put your credit card in it. Can't wait for the video where something fucks up with your credit, bro. Hopefully it doesn't happen.
On such a high pedestal, talked about them in very positive.
Yeah, slow your horses. Take a chill pill. Stop glazing. All right.
Ways it built such a following. The fact that they kind of went after him and the naming convention, people didn't like that. And again, I'm sure they had their business decisions as well, right? If people thought this was part of the Anthropic ecosystem because it was called Claude Bot, people could get confused. People could install it thinking it was Anthropic and then lose all their credentials, have it be a security nightmare, and then sort of that looks bad.
You see, he's aware of it. He knows. He fucking knows.
For Anthropic, that's understandable. But maybe on the other hand, like the people that they're targeting, the people that are building on top of Claude, the people that build the entire ecosystems around it, they're not pirates. They're not horrible people. They're not trying to steal from Anthropic. Those are the super fans. Those are the people that love Claude and all of the Anthropic models. They're the ones that talk about how awesome it is, and they're the ones that get other users to go on the Anthropic bandwagon. And now Anthropic seeming
It's like the MLM scam technique. Gonna recruit 5 people, and these 5 people are gonna recruit 5 people, and in 14 iterations, everybody on Earth is going to use OpenClaw.
destroys trust with them, with the very power users that are kind of supporting that ecosystem. And of course, we can argue who's right, who's wrong. Does Anthropic have the right to do that? But at the end of the day, just look at the developers that used to love Anthropic and Claude, the people that were the core, the super fans, the power users. Take a look at what they're writing. Are they happy or are they pissed? Because what I'm seeing is that the mood is shifting fast. Anthropic and Claude, they're going from
Oh no, my toy has been taken away.
These beloved companies into now a symbol of kind of what's wrong with the AI industry. Because in a way, Anthropic is telling them that their loyalty, their love, they don't matter as much as the unit.
What the fuck do you mean? We've had NVIDIA say that they were an AI first company. everybody with their behaviors and what they're actually saying is that they do not give a one single fuck about consumers. This is not meant to be a consumer product. The consumer product phase of AI is a transitionary period that would lead into autonomous AI companies that sells product and services to other autonomous AI companies. Come on, man. Get real for a second. Do you honestly think that this is the whole purpose? Nvidia is dealing with Palantir uh, for, you know, I don't know how you want to call it. I don't know how they say it. Hold on a second. All right, their warfare software, their warfare. The, I mean, yeah, it's. All right, so they are affiliated. They do business with Palantir. They do all this fucked up shit that we know about that they're proudly talking about, and you're right here just having a crash out because they took out your toy. That's a that's a little disconnected, bro.
Economics. On the bright side, we're also seeing this kind of power in the ecosystem in that if you don't like one company, you just replace your AI model with somebody else's company. The fact that they're more or less interchangeable, that's
Bro, whatever the fuck. Yeah, so not good, guys. Not good.
10 engineers have developed.
This is going to be it for me for today. Fuck. Oh man, thank you so much for watching, and I might be back a little later to play some video games. I'll let you know.